You felt it, right? That feeling that the sun is just stronger, the air feels heavier, the summers seem to drag on, getting more and more intense. It's a feeling that connects all of us, no matter where we are on the globe. But if you ever really stop to ask the simple question, why? Why is our world getting hotter? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig right into that. And look, for so many of us, especially in places like Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, this isn't some abstract, far-off debate. No, this is real. It's personal. It honestly feels like every single summer is more punishing than the last one. And let me tell you, that is not just your imagination. We're about to explore exactly why that's happening.
Okay, so to get what's happening in our own backyards, we first have to zoom out and look at the big picture, the global picture. And it all really starts with what's called the human footprint.
You know, the thing is, the source of our planet's rising fever, it's not some big mystery. The overwhelming scientific consensus is pretty clear. This isn't just a natural cycle we're in. The main driver, it's us. It's human activity. So, what do we even mean when we say human activity? That sounds so broad, right? Well, let's break it down into four huge areas. First, think about industrial manufacturing, all the factories making all the stuff we use. Then there's global transportation. I mean, the planes, the ships, the trucks, they're all connecting our world, but they're also changing our climate. Of course, there's our massive appetite for energy, for electricity and heat. And finally, something that's super important, deforestation. The clearing of these huge forests that, are supposed to be helping regulate our climate in the first place. Okay, so if this is a global problem, you'd think it would affect everyone the same way, right? Well, that's not how it works. The impact is wildly unequal. As you're about to see, where you live on this planet makes a huge, huge difference. This right here, this illustrates the difference perfectly. On one side, you have a country like Germany. It's industrialized and it has direct access to the sea, which acts like a giant natural air conditioner, right? It moderates the heat. But then, on the other side, you've got regions in South Asia, some of which are landlocked. Their geography literally traps the heat. And it's not just about geography, it's also about economics. Wealthier nations, they have the resources, the money to build things like cooling infrastructure to support their people. Meanwhile, developing economies are facing the exact same crisis, but with way, way fewer tools to fight back. Let's just zero in on that key term for a second, landlocked. It's pretty simple. It just means a country is completely surrounded by land, no coastline, no direct access to the sea. And that is a massive disadvantage when it comes to heat. Without the ocean's incredible cooling power, temperatures on land can just soar, creating these absolutely brutal, relentless heat waves. All right, now let's zoom in even further and look at a very specific case. We're talking about Afghanistan, which is facing a totally unique and honestly an incredible struggle with its changing climate. This statement, wow, it just perfectly captures the crisis they're in. See, it's not just one problem. It's two massive problems colliding with devastating force. You've got the full, raw impact of climate change hitting a nation that is also trying to deal with incredible economic hardship. And what happens is, each one of these crises just makes the other one infinitely worse. And you can just see how the challenges stack up, one on top of the other. First, as we said, it's landlocked, which basically turns the country into a heat trap. Second, because of limited economic resources, it's incredibly difficult to build the kind of infrastructure you need to fight back. Third, its whole agricultural sector, which so many people depend on, is extremely vulnerable to drought. And then, on top of all of that, decades of instability make any kind of big, coordinated national response almost impossible. So, what's the real-world cost of all these rising temperatures? I mean, we're talking about way more than just numbers on a thermometer. The prices paid in people's livelihoods, in their health, and in the stability of entire communities. Yeah, this is so much more than just being uncomfortable on a hot day. For millions and millions of people, this kind of extreme heat becomes a full-blown economic crisis. It's a fundamental threat to a family's ability to earn a living, to put food on the table, and just to stay healthy. And it just kicks off this devastating chain reaction. Look at how this plays out. First, the intense heat and drought cause crops to fail, and vital water sources literally dry up. Okay, what happens next? That immediately leads to step two. Food becomes scarce, it gets more expensive, and at the same time, heat-related health problems just skyrocket. So what does that lead to? Well, step three, people who work outside, in farming, in construction, they can't work. The whole economy starts to stall. And the final result of all this?
growing social and financial instability that ends up affecting everyone.
And this all brings us to our final and maybe most critical thought here. While the climate is changing for all of us, the burden is not being shared equally, not even close. Things like geography, economics, and history have created this deep, unfair divide in who suffers the most. So as we look to the future, the real question isn't just how do we stop the warming? It's also how do we address the profound injustice of who is being forced to pay the highest price?